Hello, hello. How are you doing today? I'm Max, a non-binary art goblin stuck in the 90s. I asked my followers if they'd like to see me turn my pets into anime characters, and they said yes. So get ready to meet Grim, Guru, Jackie, and Jango. Because Grim is a very elegant and tiny cat, she's very sleek looking, so I tried to go for a bit of a classic Lolita type dress, but with very simple lines. I tried to give her a very distinctive silhouette at the same time. Um, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to explain. I'm definitely not an expert in design or whatever, but yeah, I was trying to keep in mind that I wanted her to have lots of such lines. Okay, so at first I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for like a furry or for a more anime look, and eventually I went for like the classic cat girl type. I wasn't happy with making her into a furry type character. Yeah, I kept on trying, and it just wasn't working for me that day. So I struggled actually quite a bit with her face, because again, Grim looks very, very young. Like, she's 10 years old, so that would make her middle-aged, I think, by cat standards. But she looks like she's maybe 2 or 3 years old, tops. Like, she looks very, very young. Most people assume that she's, barely older than a kitten. She's my baby. I love her so much. So yeah, I tried to make her look like as if she looked, as if she looked in her 20s, but she's actually much older. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult to figure out the proper way to represent her. I kept on going back and forth on her face. I just wasn't satisfied, and I think it's cute now, but I don't know if I'm still 100% happy with it. So yeah, I try to give her like a short bob, because I think it's a very, again, it's a very sleek hairstyle, and she has short hair. She's a short-haired cat, so compared to our boys who have all pretty long hair, she's pretty distinctive, and also it gives her a little bit of that spooky goth look, in a way. And yeah, plus I just really like bangs, so I think it's just really cute. I tried to keep also in mind like the shape language. Whoops, you can see that I yeah, I'm using Clip Studio Paint, so I'm using a lot the 3D function, which allows you to use like a mannequin to figure out poses faster. It's really, really useful. Okay, at this point I was starting to get into line art. As you can see, I really like line art. I think it's one of my favorite things in art, and I keep on, as you can see, I keep on like removing the line art and looking at it with or without, just to make sure that my lines are, clean and that everything looks fine. And yeah, as you can see, I wasn't happy with the eyes and the face, so I just redid the other eye over and over again and again and again and again. I really struggled with her face quite a bit. Also, she has it was kind of hard to like both give her a youthful look, but at the same time she looks very serious. She has very sharp eyes. Yeah, I wasn't happy with her hand, so I actually just tried to redo it over and over again, and then I just decided to give her like an open. I kind of like drawing hands, so I just gave her a different hand pose, and yeah, you can just see me basically adding some little folds, and little details, buttons, and all that. Oh, I also struggled quite a bit with her tail, because she has, again, short hair, so her tail had to be looking, I'm not gonna say perfect, but regular. Oh, already, okay, we're moving on to colors. Yeah, my process is all over the place. So I was working on her skin color. I struggled with that quite a bit because she's a black cat, so I wanted to keep her in very dark tones. She's almost fully black. She has a few white spots on her tummy, but like they're very small. Yeah, I'm adding a little bit of pink to her torso to make her look a little bit, more alive. Adding the base color. It's kind of like a bluish black. Yeah, just adding some dark blue tone. Yeah, and so eventually I figured out that the white was kind of making my eyes have trouble. It's when you're working with some extreme tones, like some really light tones or some very dark tones, it's usually better to have like a mid-tone as a background. It's just easier for you to be able to figure out how to shade properly without getting distracted by how dark your color or light is. Yeah, I'm adding some shadows so all the shading I'm doing, I'm always using purplish gray. It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of like it's a purple color, but with low saturation and kind of dark. A lavender tone, I guess. You can see me adding some highlights. There you go. And some more shadows to the legs, and then I just decided that her skin color wasn't dark enough, so I darkened it a little bit. Now you can see me adding some shadows to the hair. She has very silky, very soft fur, so I had to make sure that her hair looked really soft as well. Always to keep like her design. Yeah, shading the tail, adding the highlights, shading the dress. And then I decided that I was having trouble like figuring out how to shade her bust a little. Like it was a little bit. I'm not very good at drawing clothes, so it was a little bit of a study at the same time. Trying to learn how to properly do the thing, how to express volume, if that makes sense. Yeah, just adding shadows again. It's a lot of pushing and pulling with me. I'm not like an expert or anything. I'm mostly self-taught on digital art. So it's a little bit chaotic. I keep on, moving back and forth. At least I try. Okay, so the bright orange is because, everything, like it's a lot of very dark colors. So sometimes when I have a bunch of things that are really close in tones, I will just color them in a very, very bright color, and then I will just color change the entire thing. So just so it's easier for me to make sure that I didn't, forget to shade anything. So now I'm shading like the little white bits, making sure that they also show volume. And yeah, I don't know, it's a really satisfying part of the drawing. And yeah, you can see a little bit of that grayish purple I was talking about. I just think it looks nice. I don't always use it, but in a lot of my drawings, this is the color I'm using to do shadows. I just think it looks nice with a lot of different colors. And yeah, you can see me again struggling with like shading feet, because feet are a big weak point of mine. That's actually one of my good resolutions for my resolution for the year 2022. I'm supposed to do a lot of feet studies, so that's going to be fun. You should look forward to that. Anyway, yeah, now you're seeing me adding some highlights to her shoes, trying to show like the leather texture. Oh, and wow, lots of change now. Okay, so now we're doing Guru. So as you can see, I'm using again the Clip Studio Paint tool that allows you to put how do I explain that? To use like a bit kind of like 3D mannequins. This way I can be sure that my characters have like similar proportions and that they fit together. Proportionize. Oh yeah. So Guru actually looks fairly old, but I was trying to figure out, and he's very underweight. Because he has a heart problem. He's the black and white Maine Coon that you saw a little bit earlier. So yeah, I'm trying to show that his fur is very unkempt looking, but at the same time it's also very long. He has a little snail on his head because, funny story, he keeps on, he really likes laying on the ground in the dirt. And one of his favorite things is apparently bringing us back little friends, which is worms and slugs that got tangled in his fur, and so they end up in our home because they got stuck in the cat. So I gave him a little snail friend to represent his. He has a big mane. You know, he's a Maine Coon, so they have this very big, very fluffy fur on their chest and neck. So to represent that, I gave him like a big comfy scarf. And yeah, again, to show that he's fluffy, I gave him some very baggy clothes. And because he loves, you know, cuddling with people so much, I wanted him to look like he's comfy and, you know, soft. Yeah, so I was trying to give him some a little bit of you know, that dirty uncle. Not dirty uncle, that sounds bad. Rather kind of like that starving artist look. It sounds bad when you say it like that again. It sounds. I love him so much. He's such a sweetheart. So yeah, you can see me because I was struggling with his feet quite a bit because the shoes weren't looking right. So I kept on like popping the picture on so I could make sure that the perspective made sense. And yeah, actually I was, you know, Maine Coons have very fuzzy feet, so I decided to give him like these little fuzzy slippers. Yeah, again, I'm adding the colors. So at first I gave him like I was trying to give him like a white beard to show that he has some white patterns. You know, he's black and white. Then I realized that he looked a little bit dead, so again I did some red to the skin and everything. I actually feel like his skin tone here looks really waxy, and actually I changed. I'm gonna change it in a moment. You'll see. Because I was trying to show that he's gray, not black, but it just wasn't working very well. And yeah, I was not very happy with the way. I wasn't sure to show that he has black and white spots on his face. And eventually I settled down on giving him some vertigo markings, because I feel like that made him very distinctive and unique. And yeah, right now you can see I'm shading the fur, trying to make it look both soft and really scruffy, unkempt. Yeah, just trying again to push and pull. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see that I'm adding the vertigo. And yeah, eventually I went for like that very stark color. Adding it to his feet as well, his hands, you know, the work, adding some shadows to the scarf. And yeah, I'm really happy with the idea of giving him vertigo markings. I think it just it gives him like a very strong character design, and again, it just looks so much more like him. Yeah, I struggled quite a bit with that scarf because with his clothes, rather. I struggled quite a bit with his clothes because no matter what I did, yeah, I did a free hug, free hugs t-shirt because he absolutely loves cuddles. His favorite thing is getting belly rubs. So yeah, I struggled quite a bit with his clothes because I wanted him to look dirty because, well, he usually is. He loves laying on the dirt or like on mud or in dust. He's a very dusty boy, and he looks he looks a little bit like a dust bunny. It sounds like I don't like him. I absolutely love him. But yeah, he's a very dusty boy. So I was trying to make his clothes look a little bit dirty, but it was really hard to like find the right balance. Because either it looked like I didn't know to shade the clothes, and so the color, it had to look intentional. Like I wanted the clothes to look dirty, not like I didn't know to shade them, and so they ended up looking dirty. It was tricky. You can see me like adding some on the bottom, some dirt stains. Yeah, shading his pants. Trying to go for like a very soft, comfy look. And yeah, just a lot of pushing and pulling, as you can see, like going back and forth between no, this is too much shadow, no, this is too much light. And yeah, I'm just, really happy with this challenge. I think I had lots of fun with it. It was an experience for sure. Yeah, I was trying to like make the clothes have a little bit more contrast. Yeah, I struggled a little bit with his tail because it's a little bit hard to explain. His undercoat is white, which is partly why it looks so scruffy, because whenever he is moving or whatever, under his top coat, his glossy top coat, which is black, underneath there is a white fluffy coat, and so it kind of looks like there's dust stuck underneath. So I was trying to show that on his tail, and I don't know if that works or if it just looks like there is a weird highlight. Oh, okay, well. So now I'm trying to draw Jackie, my dog. So Jackie is a rescue dog. We think he's at the very least 10, but we're not quite sure how old he is, because when we got him he was maybe 3. Again, we're not sure. We don't have his date of birth. He's a rescue. So he's an Irish setter mix. And yeah, he's pretty much a very grumpy old man. He gets he gets really upset whenever you're not following the right routine, or if you make noise while he's trying to sleep or whatever. Oh my god, I struggled so much with his hair. You'll see me redoing that over and over and over again for like 20 years. So yeah, he's an Irish setter mix, we think. We're not quite sure. Yeah, he's blind, so I wanted him. So you'll see that everybody else is looking in a different he's looking toward the camera, toward the left, whereas Jackie is the only one looking toward the right because, yeah. So yeah, I was trying to go for like a grandpa look. I considered suspenders, but then I wasn't happy with it, and then I decided to go for like a vest. Because again, he is long haired. All of her boys have rather long fur, So I wanted to have something like wool or something to show that he's fluffy. Yeah, and I'm just popping Guru and Green back and forth into the frame to check for proportions, check for size, make sure that they all look distinctive from each other, and that we get like the proper proportions. Yeah. Yeah, I decided to have his sleeves rolled up because I felt like it looked more active. Because Jackie is he was, I guess, a hunting dog, and so he really likes going on walks and running around and doing dirty stuff, So yeah, I just felt it made him look more active. Yeah, so gave him some poofy pants again because he has some very fluffy fur on his legs. And yeah, I lowered that leg a little, that was a little bit high. And I gave him some, kind of like the Tintin treatment with some... Oh, okay, you can see me trying to give him like a cap because I really hated the haircut and I just couldn't figure out the proper way to do that. But I gave up on that because it just wasn't looking right. Yeah, again, line art. Trying to keep my lines clean and nice. I just really like line art. It's just, I don't know why, there is something very relaxing about it. Kind of like a meditation type of things. Is that weird? It's probably not weird. Every time I think that something is weird, people okay, so now you can see that I eventually kind of figured out the way to do the hair properly. It took quite a few trials and errors, but eventually I figured it out. Like, you can see me trying to figure out the proper skull structure to make sure that, everything looked nice. And yeah, then I was satisfied, and this is not going to move anymore. But yeah, I struggled quite a bit. Oh yeah, the tail also was an issue, but that was more with shading, if I remember correctly. You'll see. It's just I'm not used to shade. I don't think it's not usual for me to do like a lot of fur, and so that was a little bit of a struggle once again. So yeah. I decided to make him a ginger because, first of all, his fur is ginger, and he's an Irish setter mix, so you kind of like you have the cliche of the Irishman being a redhead. And yeah, I eventually changed the vest because I was going for like a dark color, but he's kind of brown all over. Brown reddish color, so yeah, I actually decided to just make him like entirely earth colored and to give him like a bunch of freckles, and yeah, you can see me trying to shade his eyes and show that he's blind, so I decided to give him like a red iris, which you'll be able to see in just a moment, but yeah. After shading so much dark skin, I had to relearn how to shade light skin, because dark skin is a lot more reflective than light skin, so you get more highlights, and however light skin absorbs color, like light is more diffuse, because melanin makes skin a little bit more reflective, and having less melanin makes you look a little bit more translucent in a way. So yeah, it's just like a bunch of things that you need to be aware of, like where to put highlights and the way the way it's going the way light is going and shadows are going to interact with the surface where you're working with. So it looks a little bit gray at first, but you know, it gets better. And yeah, I actually made his skin a little bit darker because I figured out that since he's, you know, walking around quite a bit, it needed to be a little bit more tanned. And yeah, I was trying to give him some little gray hair, but in the end it barely shows, you know, in the picture, like, at all. So I don't know how efficient that was, because yeah, you know, he's a fairly old dog, and so he's graying quite a bit. His muzzle has quite a few white hairs. And yeah, just trying to show that, you know. It's a little bit awkward because, you know, with cat girls and cat boys, you get the triangle ears right on top of the head, and so it's, you know, it just works. Whereas with a droopy-eared boy like Jackie, it just looks a little bit. It looks a little bit off, right? I don't know how good that looks, but I tried. That was my first time doing that type of dogs, so yeah, adding some very bright, warm highlight to his fur to kind of show off his coloring. And yeah, I don't know, I just really had fun, like, drawing an older person, because usually, you know, when you do commissions and stuff, mostly people ask you to draw their OCs, which would tend to be like, or to do, you know, fan art, and they all tend to be like very young people with very pretty faces. And so doing a face that is so distinctive was really fun. Actually, I had lots of fun. And also, you know, trying to make it work stylistically with the others, so it looked like it would belong in the same anime or something. So yeah, you can see me like correcting a little bit the highlights and shadows on the arms, adding a little bit more blood because, again, you know, pale skin is more reflective. Adding more highlights still. Shadows, pushing and pulling, the usual. And yeah, now it's time for me to be very unhappy about shading fur. Yeah, adding shadows. It's just, yeah, I just kinda gave up at some point, and I was like, the fuck am I doing? Yeah, there's been a lot of trials and errors on that one. Eventually I decided that, you know, good enough, and I just left it be because I'd been trying for so long that it was like, what's the point? Trying again to have like Grim on. You know, it's always, as I said, it's always keeping them next to each other to check, like, if the shading works with the others, like, am I not using too much contrast or too little? Is everything still working? It was actually a very big file. Every time I was trying to open it, it was lagging. It was making my whole computer lag pretty bad. Because it was it had so much going on. Because, I mean, it's 4 whole characters, and usually for, like, one character I use about 100 layers. Yeah, it's crazy. The little doodle that you saw was me explaining to the Twitch chat the bodybuilding exercises I was doing earlier that day. Actually, whenever you see me like doodling in blue, something that seems absolutely unrelated, it's probably just me talking to the chat and just like explaining things, because talking is difficult. Words, don't like them. Words are difficult. But drawings, a little bit easy. A little bit easier. It's easier to do just like a little a little doodle to explain what you're thinking of, rather than talking. And yeah, you can see me again struggling with like materials and the light directions and highlights and all that jazz. Because I choose a pretty weird... Okay, usually in like 99% of my drawing, the light is coming from the top right and a little bit in front of the character. So, you know, I don't get quite that much shadows. But for this one, I decided to do it like a little bit to the left of the drawing and a little bit in the back, I guess. And it's not my usual, you know, my usual light source, so I was not sure of what the fuck I was doing, like at all. But eventually I figured it out, and I'm very happy with the way this project turned out. It's not perfect, but it has personality. Yeah, adding some more folds and everything, trying to show the way the fabric drapes on the body. Honestly, that was a pretty fun exercise, like trying to figure out different clothing style and body language and, you know, patterning and everything. Like, I just enjoyed this a lot, and I would advise you, if you don't know what to draw, try to turn animals into characters. You'll have a lot of fun. Oh, yeah. This was me trying to yeah, okay, I was trying to figure out the thing flashing to black was me trying to like check something. I don't remember why, I'll be honest. So this is Jango, our last but not least cat. He's the youngest one. He's about 7. And, you know, he's the baby of a family, and he's a little bit of a dickhead. But, you know, the kind of dickhead that you can't help but love. So I was trying to show that he has quite an attitude. And yeah, you can see me like checking his proportions and everything, and trying to give him like that very flipping the finger to everyone, because yeah, you would. I gave him some little yeah, again, that was something that I popped on to show something to the chat. Just ignore, like, every time you see something, just flash by. It's usually just me talking to the chat. I should do that on another screen or something. Yeah, so I gave him some little sideburns because he has, you know, very fluffy cheeks. And actually I made him a little bit fatter because he's a pretty fat boy. He's very strong too. So I was trying to figure out like the proper... the first thing I knew, like when I started doing that thing, is that I wanted to give him a fur color. Like to give him like a very warm vest. No. Very warm coat. With like a fur collar and like a turtleneck and everything, because, you know, he is a Maine Coon too, so he has a very warm fur, very thick. And actually it went from like a coat to a little bit of an aviator jacket, I guess. It's not really like a full-on aviator jacket, but, you know, it has that vibe. And again, I made him a little bit more thick, gave him some aviator pants, because they have like these very... I call him Mr. Fluffy Butt, because he has very, very fluffy thighs. Very, very fluffy thighs. And so I felt like that kind of pants would show both like the fluffiness, but at the same time it is active wear, so it would look. He loves going outside and running around and climbing on walls and everything. So it just translates that a little bit better. And yeah, I gave him boots as well. Again, it just worked nicely for his designs. And yeah, his very, very big fluffy tail. And doing some line art. Trying to keep to make him more to make him look sharp. Yeah, okay, so that was me explaining French grammar. Yeah, that was a whole. That's a whole other thing. Yeah, what else can I explain about that? So yeah, I decided to make him look very pale in contrast to the others because he's a ginger and white, and so I felt that making him like a very pale color would show like cream. He's not really like a full-on orange boy. He's more like a cream color. So you'll see me like going back and forth between tones quite a bit because I wasn't sure exactly how to express his fur color. Again, you can see me adding some red highlights to his skin, some shading, showing how much of a dickhead he is. He's glorious. I really love him. He's so awful. He's a bastard, man. I call him the little bastard. He's not little at all. Like, he's a very big cat. He's like twice Grim size. And he's bigger than Guru as well, despite Guru being a Maine Coon too. But Guru is a very small Maine Coon, and he has a heart disease, so he's very, very thin. So it's not a big surprise that he's smaller than our baby boy in all of his glory. And yeah, you can see me like adding some little stripes. I'm adding some, reddish tones because I wanted to show he's a tabby, so I wanted to show like the tabby markings, and I figured out that yeah, there you go, that's the going back and forth thing I was going for, because I realized that his fur color is more yellow than the orange I had picked, so I went for something a little bit more, a little bit more yellow. Again, adding some stripes and everything, and some white as well. I don't know how well that translates, well you understand that this is his fur pattern, but as we say, I tried, and therefore nobody can criticize me. Adding some shading as well. Honestly, I feel like Jango was like the most straightforward out of all of them. I think he's the one I had the least trouble with because, he has such a strong personality. I just knew what I wanted to do with him. Yeah, struggling once again with the fur texture. And, eventually went, well, okay, good enough, moving on. So at some point you have to be like, okay, moving on, because otherwise you just end up working on the same bits of a drawing over and over again. And, and you're never going to finish this piece because you're just focused on that one detail that's not looking the way you want to. Yeah, again, struggling with the fur color, the fur texture, because, I was trying to figure out a way to show the texture on that little trim. But yeah, again, I went like good enough, because you have to move on. For I think I should do some fur studies at some point. That's something that's that a little bit of one of my weak points. Anyway, adding some more shadows, and I was trying to keep in mind that this is supposed to be like leather. So just kinda like trying to have not too many folds to keep that thickness. Because if you add lots of fold, the fabric looks thinner and less rigid. Yeah, I did some gray detailing for like the zippers, some highlights here and there. And now onto the pants. As I said, like this one has been very straightforward. There's been a few changes here and there, but honestly not that much. And yeah, see, again, the color is changing, because it was too... When you look at him, it's very much more of a light cream than a bright orange, so I kept on being like, oh, okay, this is not a pure orange cat that you're doing. You need to take that into account and just go for a much more yellower color palette than you think you would need. And again, once again for the boots, going for a more yellow leather. Yeah, there is not a lot of like contrast in him when you compare him with the others who have some much darker tones in colors, but yeah, but I mean that's what it looks like. So there you go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed your time with me today. You can find all of my links in the description down below, and I will see you next time. Meanwhile, be gay, do crime.